I've been thinking a lot about two different clients that both were doing the same thing, and one was punished and one was rewarded, and how that can happen, right? I mean, how does somebody prosper doing the same thing that another one gets punished for? And it really has all to do with their personal brands, what they put out to the world, and consistency. So let's get into it. Hey, Brian Stevens, and I'm in the complex communications business. And one of the services we offer is business disruption services. We do media training and crisis management, stuff like that. And I was thinking about a person that was busted for uh, going to a strip joint and getting some lap dances. And I had another client that does that all the time. They post pictures on Instagram, and they're like, that's kind of their mantra. Well, the first person has touted themselves as a very religious person, very zealous, very proper, very moral, and they got on Instagram or TikTok or one of those things that they were doing this, and they got busted, and they got just pounded on by their friends and the media. And the other one was an athlete, and he was really known to be a party person and a good time guy. And he owned the fact that he went to strip joints. And the issue was consistency. One was inconsistent with who they said they were as a person. The other one was very consistent. And what we do not enjoy as Americans is hypocrites. We don't like it, and we're going to punish people for being inconsistent with their personal brand. And the one thing that I want to get across to you today is I want you to pick what you want your personal brand to be. I want you to own it. And then most of all, I want you to be consistent. Now, that's a lot harder to do than you think, because often we'll pick very inconsistent brands. So let's take Brian Stevens, for example. When we first started CASA, I was a soldier and I was a lawyer. And I thought that in this business of communications, what we needed to do was be polite and be nice and kind and give people advice, but don't be too pushy. Don't be too aggressive. And certainly don't take what I've learned from the military to drive through and to punch through victory. And we were going nowhere fast. I was inconsistent with who I was as a person. I am not always that polite. I am very loud. I am very abrupt. I will step on toes to win. And I needed to own that. And we certainly lost a few clients that we had that didn't like the fact that I was being much more assertive, even aggressive, if you will, and demanding victory at all costs. I wasn't being polite anymore. But we got all this new clients and all these new people that really enjoyed that brand, and it was authentic to me, so I could be consistent with it because that's who I am. Now, I don't want you to pick the brand that's right for me. I want you to pick the brand that's right for you. But the trick is to figure out how to be consistent long term. So I got a couple examples for you. Oh, I should say this. I'm not going to get into why you need to develop a personal brand on this video. If you're here and you're still watching, God bless you. Please subscribe. But I'm not going to teach you why. You can go. You're here. You already know why personal branding is important. So let's get into some issues that conflict with each other that we think aren't conflicting. So the first one that I was thinking of are people that say, well, I want to be loyal and I want to be ethical. And that's my brand. I want to be loyal and ethical. And I go, well, at some point, they're going to oppose each other. They're going to become opposing forces. And you're going to have to pick. Are you loyal or are you ethical? And just me saying that, I bet it starts to put scenarios in your head about how if you're loyal, sometimes you'll breach ethics. And if you're super ethical, it means you can't always be loyal. Now, I'm not trying to judge which one you pick. They're both good. They both can reward you in your life. If you're consistent and own it, you can be a super loyal person and maybe breach some people's versions of ethics. You can be a super ethical person and be really loyal at times, but unloyal when it breaches your ethical code. But you got to pick. And you can't sit here and sit by a tree and say, what I want to do is be both, because you can't be. And I need you to pick. And anytime you're thinking about your own personal brand, I want you to go sit by a tree. I want you to sit in silence and really think about who you are as a person and what you want people to think of you when you're not around. And that's really what a personal brand is. And you got to start at home first. So I'm not going to get into Instagram and TikTok and how you blow that brand up. First off, we got to be consistent at home with everyone we know and our target audience. If it's our family or employees or our clients, you got to start right at home, and then you can start to broaden out. So let's take one more example. Do you want to be honest or strategic? Now, I know what you're going to say. I want to be both. I want to be honest and strategic. This is absolutely, you can't be both. Now, you can be both a lot of times, but at some point they will absolutely butt heads. I mean, one of the core components of being strategic is propaganda, is the use of propaganda, is the use of manipulation, of being Machiavellian in nature to win and to have great strategies to circumvent what people think so you can make an end run around and beat them. I don't care if it's a political campaign. I don't care if it's an issue campaign. I don't care if it's war. I don't care if it's you competing with another company. You can't be honest to a fault if you're trying to be strategic. Now, you can be known as a great, honest person. You're not going to be considered strategic because people are going to know exactly what you think because you're honest. And that's cool. That's great. I love honest people. I don't always think they're strategic. You can be both at times, but at some point, you've got to pick which one's the most important to you so that you can stay consistent over time. Because remember, that religious person was inconsistent. They picked it. They picked, I want to be a man of the cloth. And when you pick that, you better live it. Now, I've seen this scenario too, where you get somebody that claims to be a party boy and I'm a awesome person. We represented a rap star, and the rapper had to put out the image that they were, gangbanger, they're a tough guy and carried guns. This guy didn't even like guns, and he wasn't a party person, but he had to create this image. And the image got out that he really wasn't that badass and that crazy, and it kind of hurt his career. So he was inconsistent with being a badass and being a stud and all these things, right? So he was inconsistent, and it hurt his brand kind of the same way the man of the cloth did. So really, the first thing that I want you to do is I want you to sit and think about your brand. And if you have two concepts, you have to think about how they're going to conflict. And then you need to pick which one is really you. Now, once you do that, then you can start to become authentic. So I don't care if you want to become a driver. I don't care if you want to be considered a loyal person or a super authentic person, or a person that gets things done at all cost. You can see a person that gets things done at all cost is going to push away a lot of nice things. I think about one last concept. Do you want to be nice or do you want to be kind? Now, you can't be both. And I think about the example of a parent that sees their child walking into the street and sees a car coming. Well, somebody that's nice, in my opinion, it's like, Johnny, come out of the street. Don't get hit by the car. A kind person is going to go jerk them up, get them off the street and keep them safe. But that wasn't very nice to jerk their arm up, was it? It was kind, but it wasn't nice. And that's really the difference in those two personal brands. And I don't care which one you pick, but you can't pick nice and running strong meetings. Can you imagine trying to be nice and running a meeting with a bunch of alphas? They're just going to walk all over you. So there's a lot of other people that will help you kind of isolate and pick which brand you want. My goal today is just to get you to sit, think quietly, and then pick, and then be consistent for decades. And trust me, it'll radiate out, and people will know you for what you want to be known for instead of just loosey-goosey type stuff, and nobody really thinks about you that much. So I hope this helps. This issue got sent to me by a couple people, and I wanted to talk about it today. So I hope you find it helpful. If you like it, again, bing and notify and subscribe and do all those cool things, and we'll come at you next week. Thanks. Bye.